This podcast is a production of the Three Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales, the place you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by your host, me, Tai Tiger. Today we're diving into Power Rangers Future Foundation and its Universe 113. Power Rangers Future Foundation is what started Tiger Tales in the first place. In Power Rangers Future Foundation, we have a maniac called Lucicon, who goes around stealing Power Rangers, whether that's the people or the powers themselves. Now, that being said, some of the older powers are being gifted to the next generation. They form a team called Power Rangers Future Foundation, and it's their job to stop Lucicon becoming the ultimate being, as he's combining monster and Power Ranger powers into one form. In the last few chapters, the Ranger team has met Xander, an old friend of Dante and Chloe, our Black MMPR and our Yellow Dino Thunder Ranger. Xander's an old friend and an old martial arts champion colleague of Dante's, and it turns out he also has a morpher, the Master Morpher. Xander's introduction to the team was a bit on the salty side, shall we say. It wasn't exactly handled very well, and in this chapter, turns out someone's not taking very lightly to Xander. So let's dive in and find out, shall we?
Welcome to Universe 113, a place where an old evil has continued its quest for ultimate power, starting by kidnapping previous Rangers and stealing their powers. But not all is lost, as a new generation of Rangers is born, bringing new life to the legendary powers that came before them. They are the new heroes of Earth. They are Power Rangers Future Foundation.
Power Rangers Future Foundation, Chapter 26. There's no green in team. Dante woke up feeling a bit sore from his fight with Xander. His old friend happened to beat him a couple of days before. It also turned out that he was the new holder of the Master Morpher, the Morpher that used to belong to Tommy Oliver. So the only thing that everyone could guess was Lucicon had Tommy. Dante climbed out of bed and headed into the kitchen where he found Luca and Chloe chatting. "Sup, dude?" Luca nodded. "Hey, guys. Sorry I slept in," Dante muttered. Don't be. It's okay. You do a lot, you know." Chloe grinned. Luca threw Chloe a raised eyebrow, then turned to Dante, who was pouring himself a cup of coffee. "So, how are we going to deal with this whole Xander situation?" Luca asked. "What do you mean?" Dante asked back. "Dude, he dives in like a Looney Tune character, then calls you out, beats you up, runs off. The dude's either a coward or a fraud, or maybe he's just insane." Luca barked. "No, he's my friend and I trust him," Dante retorted. "You cannot be serious," Luca asked in a huff. Yeah, I am. We know Xander," Dante said, gesturing towards Chloe. "Whatever, dude," Lucas said with a sigh and a shake of his head. Suddenly, CJ's computer started beeping. The trio rushed over, and Dante took the chair. "Where is CJ when you need her?" Dante muttered. Remember, she's gone to her grandmother's house to check on her and her family dog," Chloe sighed. Dante typed away on the keyboard, and the camera feed appeared on the screen showing a monster attacking a bank. "When do monsters need money?" Luca asked. "Maybe he didn't pay his rent," Dante mocked. Then the trio all stood there in the centre of the room and hit their communicators, and teleported away. The trio teleported into the bank, where the monster stood there laughing inside the vault filled with bags of money. Yo dude, bank is closed, trees on strike, time to go home," Luca called out. The monster climbed out of the vault. It was a big, hulking, golden-armoured, bull-like monster with massive golden horns. "This cash is mine, punk. Now beat it, kids. I got banks to hit," the monster growled. "Sorry, man, you ain't going anywhere," Dante grinned. "Guessing we aren't calling the other two?" Chloe asked. "Nope, Amy's on a school trip and Leah needs to keep an eye on the princess," Dante muttered. "Who dares stand in front of Bullion Horn?" the monster growled. "Hang on, we have one thing to do before we can answer that," Luca grinned. "And that is?" Bullion Horn asked. "Glad you asked that," Dante called out as he took one step forward and pulled out his power morpher, and he held it out. "Mastodon!" he called out, and he morphed into the Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. "Dino Thunder, power up!" Chloe called out as she pressed the button on her Dino Morpher and morphed into the Yellow Dino Thunder Ranger. "Time full, time force!" Luca called out as he crossed his arms and then pressed his chronomorpher and morphed into the Time Force Blue Ranger. The three Rangers stood before Bully and Horn. Rangers! Ha! This is perfect! Bully and Horn chuckled. Then the Blue Ranger ran up to Bully and Horn and punched it in its chest. The bank rang with echoed vibrations as it rippled off the punch. The monster stood there not fazed. Then Bully and Horn swatted the Blue Ranger away, sending him flying back. The Yellow Ranger pulled out her sidearm and fired at the monster. The energy blast bounced off the monster and hit the walls. The Black Ranger ran at the monster with his power axe in hand and slashed Bully and Horn. Bully and Horn stood there unfazed once again, and then he slammed his foot on the ground, sending a shockwave that knocked the two Rangers off their feet. Now taste my riches! Bully and Horn chuckled. Then he vomited a pile of liquid gold over the Yellow Ranger. The gold then solidified, encasing the gold around her, making her into solid gold. Guys, little stuck, the Yellow Ranger called out. The Blue and Black Ranger both stood up and ran over to the Yellow Ranger. The Black Ranger struck the gold, but nothing happened. Please, gold is solid. That won't break. Unless I'm defeated. Bully and Horn cackled.
That can change.
A voice called out. Everyone turned to see Xander stood there in the doorway, leaning against the door. Xander, the Black Ranger cheered. Xander walked forward and pulled out his Master Morpher and held it out.
Zeo Ranger 5, red!
He called out and morphed into the red Zeo Ranger. He summoned his Zeo Saber and then ran at the monster and slashed the monster several times. Bully and Horn was not fazed by attacks. Yeah, we tried that, the Blue Ranger called out.
Yeah, fair enough.
The Red Ranger chuckled. We don't need your help, the Blue Ranger snapped. The Zeo Ranger turned to the Time Force Ranger.
You must be the new kid around here.
The Red Ranger stated. Name's Luca, and no, I've been here for a few months. Thank you. The Blue Ranger barked back.
That's what the new kid always says.
The Red Ranger chuckled. We don't need a Green Ranger on our team, the Blue Ranger growled.
Dude, Zeo Ranger red, not green, man. You're colorblind. The
Red Ranger mocked. Guys, pack in, okay? We're a team because we fight the same cause. Now pack it in before I slam both heads together. We've got this horned theme of Bobby to deal with, the Black Ranger called out. Wait, that's it, the Blue Ranger gasped.
Yes, that's it. We take out one of the horns and use it against him.
The Red Ranger called out. Both the Red Zeo Ranger and the Blue Time Force Ranger fist bumped each other, then got into their fighting stances. God's sake, you two, the Black Ranger sighed before he dropped into his own fighting stance. Get a horn. I'll keep him busy, the Blue Ranger muttered. The Red Ranger nodded and then headed straight for Bully and Horn. He jumped up and over the monster before he could turn around. The Blue Ranger ran at the monster with his chrono sabers and slashed him in the chest several times. The monster tried to swat the Ranger away once again, but the Ranger blocked the incoming strike. Then the Red Ranger jumped up behind the monster and launched himself into the air and swung his sword. He managed to slice the tip of one of his horns off and kicked it towards the Black Ranger, who rolled forward and caught it. Then the Black Ranger ran up to the monster and stabbed the horn into the monster. The horn went through Bully and Horn like he was butter. The three Rangers all jumped back as the monster fell backwards and exploded. The gold that encased the other Ranger became liquid once again, freeing her. She stood and regrouped with the others. She looked at the Red Zeo Ranger, who looked down at the floor. Hey, she said.
Hey, Chloe. Nice to see you.
The Red Ranger said awkwardly. Then suddenly the liquid gold on the floor started shifting and slithering out of the building. The four Rangers watched as it left the bank. They followed it and walked out of the street. They watched as the gold started bubbling, tripling in size, forming back into Bully and Horn. But the gold kept on forming, making the monster grow gigantic. The Rangers stood there on the street looking up at the monster. Guess this is where I chime in, Logan muttered behind them.
Who's this clown?
The Red Ranger asked. Hey, leave him. He's one of us, the Blue Ranger said. Hang on. Something ain't quite right here. Luca's defending me? Logan stated with a raised eyebrow. This dickhead has been on one since he arrived, the Blue Ranger chirped.
Hey man, don't go there, bro. You're the one who started going all aggressive on me since I arrived.
The Red Ranger barked back. Guys, enough. Golden Bull went gigantic. Deal with this farce and argue like children later, the Yellow Ranger growled. Then Logan pulled out his flute blade and slotted his 3 animal crystals into it. Then he played it, and the wolf, alligator, and hammerhead wild zords appeared and combined into the Predazord. Logan then teleported into the Megazord. The Predazord swung its blade and the monster was hit by the blade, but nothing happened. Bully and Horn then vomited a massive amount of gold, solidifying the Predazord's arm completely in gold, rendering it useless.
I should help out.
The Red Ranger muttered, then he held out his power morpher.
Dragon Zord!
He called out, and the red Zeo coin shifted into the green Dragon coin, and he morphed into the mighty morphin Green Ranger. Then the Green Ranger played his Dragon Dagger, and suddenly the Green Dragon Zord appeared and stood next to the immobilized Predazord. The Dragon Zord swung its tail and struck the monster, then it fired several rockets from its fingertips. Bully and Horn chuckled. You need to use his gold against him as a weapon, remember? The Black Ranger told the Green Ranger.
Yeah, I remember.
The Green Ranger nodded. Then the Dragon Zord breathed its mighty flame on the Predazord, golden encased blade, making it red hot. Then the Predazord swung its scorched golden arm at Bully and Horn and sliced one of the horns off. Then the Predazord picked it up with its wolf arm and stabbed Bully and Horn in the chest. Bully and Horn fell back and exploded once again, the gold melting away off the Predazord. Logan joined the Rangers as the teams grouped up and the Zords returned. We make a pretty good team, Logan told the Green Ranger. Then all the Rangers demorphed.
Thanks. And yeah, I agree.
Xander grinned. Luca walked up to him with his head hanging low. If he had a tail, it would have been tucked between his legs. Sorry, man. I don't trust people easy, okay? And Dante's a cool dude, you know? Luca muttered.
Hey man, no worries, I completely get it. Dante is my oldest and my best friend. I'm glad he's got people defending him, because I know he's a hot-headed dumbass who gets himself in trouble.
Xander grinned. Luca held out his hand and Xander took it, and they shook hands. Name's Luca. Luca introduced himself properly.
Name's Xander, but I guess you knew that, huh?
Xander grinned. Then Xander turned to Chloe, who looked at him with a frown.
Hey Chloe, how's you?
Xander said awkwardly. Hey Xander, long time no see. Chloe said with an eye roll.
Where's my hug?
Xander chuckled, trying to break the ice. Chloe rolled her eyes once again, then walked over and hugged Xander. Luca clapped, and Dante stood there chuckling. Logan just stood there and looked at everyone with a raised eyebrow. And there you have it, guys. Another installment to Power Rangers Future Foundation. This is actually my first story of 2024. So, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you all have had a fantastic set of holidays, and welcome to 2024. This is going to be an interesting year for Tiger Tales as a whole. Of course, this is a Three Ranger Bros production, so make sure you check out the Three Ranger Bros. Check out Zero to Hero Network, and of course check out If You Give a Dad a Podcast and the Author's Crown YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Tiger Tales YouTube channel if you haven't already. There's also Tiger Tales Lost Stories, Tiger Tales Game Over, and Tiger Tales Mysterious Origins. All sorts of places where you'll find fanfictions and original stories across all boards. That being said, thank you all for listening, and I shall see you guys real soon.